Hello, this is Brian Tatler from Diamond Head, and you're listening to Metal Nation.
So let's get to it. How are you doing? How have you been doing through all of this sort of COVID chaos and
Uh,
the nonsense and craziness of 2020?
like millions of others, I absolutely hate it. I don't like the idea that we can't do what we love to do, which is, go out and enjoy each other's company and mix and mingle and go to people's houses. I don't like that we can't do any gigs. We can't get together to rehearse or write or record or anything really. It's just very, especially for the entertainment industry. It's just been a complete nightmare. But I can understand why it's happening. They don't want to swamp hospitals with thousands and thousands of people who've got the virus. So we've all got to be good boys, but it's awful.
It's definitely frustrating, and it's kind of heartbreaking seeing all the loss and the strain on everybody. But we have our health, we're alive, and we have great new metal. Well, sort of new metal. Here we
Yeah.
are. They're here 40 years after the monumental debut of the White Album, aka Lightning to the Nations, to talk about a newly re-recorded version of the album, which is getting ready to drop. I've never been a huge fan of re-recording classics, but this is one album I've often hoped would get a reboot simply because I've always felt the record could have been so much more powerful with better production quality. The original was truly a DIY affair recorded in a short
Yeah.
amount of time. So if you would, take us back 4 decades to the recording of the original album and tell us what that experience was like for you guys, because you guys were like 19, 20 at the time.
Yes, we were 19 and 20. I was born in 1960, so when we went in around maybe March, I'd still be 19. I think Sean was 19, and then Colin and Duncan were both 20. But it's interesting you say that, it's like this metal classic and, monumental and things like that. Because when it came out originally, we couldn't even get a record deal for it. And there's only one paper that reviewed the album, which was Sounds, and they gave it a 3.5 star out of 5 star. So it wasn't like people made a big fuss and went, "Oh my God, this new album's incredible." There's a few journalists in the UK who liked it, and then we had our following, but that was it. Nobody around the world. Obviously, there's no scene like there is now with the internet and all the metal magazines. This is even before Kerrang in the UK. So anyway, going on to the next part is we went into the studio. It was our second time in the 24-track studio. We'd been in a couple of months before to record our first single, Shoot Out the Lights, Backed with Helpless, which we did in a day. Then we had the opportunity to use the studio again for a whole week to record and mix the album, which we called Lightning to the Nations. We recorded 7 songs, and everything was done pretty much live. We'd all set up in the room. The drummer would be behind a screen. So there was this, it was very dead. Everything was carpeted. Even the drum booth was carpeted, and then it was carpeted on the inside and the ceiling and the walls. And so it was extremely dead, like pudding drum sound, dub, dub, dub. No ambience. When you hear something like when the levee breaks and it's got that ambience and that delay on this, our drum sound was do, 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 completely dry, dead, and you'd probably just add a bit in the mix, a bit of plate reverb or something. So it was recorded quite quickly. I would I would overdub an extra guitar to make it to stereo guitars. I don't think Sean played on the album. He used to play the intro live for Am I Evil, and he'd play rhythm guitar on Play It Loud and later on the Heat of the Night. But I think on the album I did all the guitars. And then, as I say, once we got the track down, Sean would then overdub another lead vocal. He'd be singing along with us as we were recording. It helps you understand the arrangement and where the verses start and things, but he would then redo his vocal. And it was all, I mean, it was a fantastic experience to be in a 24-track studio as young men. But it probably wasn't very well produced, I mean, it was done, as I say, quickly, and
Right.
we kind of called it a demo album because I think part of us was thinking we'll record it and then get a record deal with it. So I think Reg probably went round the labels, Reg being our manager, with these mixes, cassettes or whatever, and no one would sign the band, and it was very frustrating, and it took us almost 2 years to actually get a record deal when we signed to MCA in January 1982.
Yet despite all that, you guys with this album were so very influential in that new wave of British heavy metal scene. I kind of likened it in my review to the big four of new wave of British heavy metal, with you guys and Saxon and Iron Maiden, and I think Def Leppard was the other one. What was that for those of us who couldn't be there? Because obviously I'm over here, and a lot of people who are getting into you guys now were too young. What was that whole nascent new wave of British heavy metal scene like?
I didn't feel like we were at the big four or anything at the time. It always felt like quite a few other bands had been signed before us. Girls' School got signed, Tigers of Pantang, Angel Witch. Loads of bands seemed to be getting signed ahead of Diamond Head, and it was very frustrating. To me, I thought it was very, very exciting, the fact that record labels were now checking out new bands. Bands were getting signed all the time. When we noticed Def Leppard got snapped up by Phonogram, Iron Maiden went with EMI, and I just thought this is a perfect opportunity for my band, for Diamond Head, to get signed. I thought A&R men are going to start coming to the gigs, especially when we played in London, and we'd get a record deal. And that seemed to be the goal. Everybody wanted to get a record deal, get signed, and move on, go up the ladder. I'd been watching bands at my gig, the Birmingham Odeon, where I would go and watch Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, AC/DC, Van Halen, etc. And then I remember seeing Def Leppard open for Sammy Hagar, and I saw Iron Maiden open for Judas Priest, and I saw Samson and quite a few bands, and I just thought, we can get a deal now. This is our moment. We were the right age. We look good. We got these good songs. You're a great singer. Let's go. It was a fantastic time.
Yeah, unfortunately, as it seems to go sometimes in the world of rock and roll, there's always these unheralded bands, but you had such a huge impact on so many, including Metallica, which we'll talk about in a minute. But so fast forward 40 years, holy crap, where did that time go?
Yeah.
You guys are about to release Lightning to the Nations 2020, a full re-record of the debut album. And, it's just freaking balls to the wall heavy. The album really brings those songs to life with more muscle and power, and you even brought everything full circle with a cover of Metallica's No Remorse, which you dropped a video for today, which again I said we'll talk about in a minute. But tell us about re-recording the record, because it's pretty faithful to the original, yet it sounds like an infinitely more feral beast.
A lot of the credit goes to Raz, who's mixed it, produced it. And he's a younger man than myself, so he's more into more modern sounds. He likes, he'll like things like Meshuggah, and he'll listen to a lot of modern stuff, whereas I'm more old school. I'm more 70s. So I always think, you've got that old version, the 1980 version will always be there. If you love that, fine, but let's try and make a more powerful version, a more modern version, one that will bring these songs into the 21st century. As we know, they're 40 years old. If you're 18 and you like metal, you might not necessarily want to go and listen to a 40-year-old Diamond Head album. So hopefully we can hook in some new fans I'm hoping the Diamond Head fans we've got will love it as well, because it sounds great. But sonically, it may be more in tune with what's going round now. We're not as detuned as, you know, some bands. We're only down a semitone. We're in E flat, so hardly anything. But we do have a fantastic singer, and I think he's added a certain power and a certain energy to the songs and to the tracks that we've been playing live for a long time. I feel that my technique has improved over the years. They are quite faithful to the originals because, as I say, we've been doing them live and they just work. Am I Evil absolutely works live. There's no need to change the arrangement and fiddle about. Sucking My Love's changed a little. It's
I noticed you cut a couple of minutes out of that one.
Yes, a couple of minutes. Yeah, because the original's 9.5 minutes long, so it is a bit long originally, and we managed to, you know, cut the couple of minutes out and make it a little more tidy. Not much else has changed. It's Electric's got an ending, you know,
right,
because the original fades out, but not much has changed. No.
But boy, it punches like, you know, unbelievable. This kicks it. I was actually just talking to a friend of mine last night. He and I got into the new wave of British heavy metal together, Diamond Head, Iron Maiden, all of that stuff. And I mentioned I'm going to be talking to you, and he's like, I saw the video for Am I Evil? Holy shit. So the old school fans are excited too. Trust me on that. But not long after the album's debut release, this up and coming thrash band out of San Francisco, led by Lars Ulrich at the time, latched onto what you guys were doing. Today, you guys released an animated video for one of 4 cover tracks on the new release, No Remorse. Tell us about covering Metallica, about that animated video, and the impact Metallica sort of, because you guys have had sort of this symbiotic relationship over the years. Them and, of course, Dave from Megadeth as well.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I really wanted to do a Metallica song. I discussed this idea a while back. With, you know, we even talked about doing an EP at one point. But last year, our drummer said, "Look, it's the 40th anniversary coming up. Let's do, well, how about re-recording Lighten to the Nations?" And I thought, yeah, great, you know, good idea. Let's, with this band, with this lineup. But I also said, let's do some covers as well as bonus tracks, because then you know, you've got something extra. You've not just got the 7 songs, you've got, well, 11 songs. So I decided I'll try and find the best choices. We went through a lot of Judas Priest songs and Purple songs, etc. But with Metallica, I thought I want to do something off Kill 'Em All, because it's the debut album and they covered songs from Diamond Head's debut album. So I went through the tracks and I settled on No Remorse because I like the track, and I think it has a Diamond Head quality to it.
It does, it really does.
Yeah, there's something in the writing that reminds me of, you know, maybe Dead Reckoning or Sucking My Love, and there's a couple of riffs you just think, okay. And it starts with a big solo, which is similar to the way the Prince starts with a big solo. So you could see that, yeah, they've been listening to Diamond Head. There's a little bit of, fan sort of appreciation in that song. So I said to everybody, learn No Remorse, and we'll rehearse it. Which we managed to do maybe December, January, something like that. We went over the covers, and instantly it sounded great in the room. So we was all smiling. We just thought, that's great, that's perfect. It just suits us as a band, as players. So that was it. That we didn't look no further.
And you picked some other great tracks with Judas Priest, Led Zeppelin, and Deep Purple. That was a really, talk about deep.
Yeah.
A deep cut for Deep Purple there.
It certainly is. Yeah, Rat Bat Blue. Well, I've always liked that track, and it's off Who Do You Think We Are? And so I thought, because it didn't rely on Hammond, you know, John Lord's incredible keyboard playing, and we haven't got keyboards, we've got 2 guitars, and I kind of thought, let's do something that will work for Diamond Head. we chopped that. You know, there's a mad keyboard solo on the original version. I don't know if you know it, and it's still called, like, it almost sounds like it's speeded up. So we just had to chop that out because I thought, well, we can't do that. But riff-wise, great riffs. So I just thought this should suit Diamond Head, and again, we tried it in rehearsal and thought, yeah, lovely, sounds great. I didn't want to do one of the big Purple songs like Highway Star, or
Right.
you know.
Everybody always likes to hear those, but then it's like everybody's done it. Let's hear something different, unique, and one of the deeper cuts. The whole thing is just walloping and phenomenal. I know you're a big Black Sabbath fan, and I think you guys tooled around with maybe trying to do a Sabbath cover on this one and sort of nixed it at the end. Which song or two were you guys thinking about?
Well, we had a go at Center of the Universe, which is one of my all-time favorites. We had a go at Tomorrow's Dream off Volume 4. I even wanted to try Black Sabbath, but in the end, I just thought it didn't sound right. I mean, if we'd have put more and more care into it and try and analyze exactly what everybody's playing, the drums, the bass, but even so, Ozzy is such a unique sound to his voice, and I think those four guys made such a sound that when we had a go at it, it didn't work somehow. I felt it just felt slightly flat, and I couldn't add anything. It was slightly not right. So I wanted to leave. I wanted to do a Black Sabbath song, but I thought, no, we won't do Sabbath. And we moved on to Priest, and thought, let's do a Priest song. And Sinner it is an obvious choice for me because I just think it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
Well, I literally just finished doing a ranking of all 20 of the Black Sabbath albums, including the Dio eras and all the other eras, and Heaven and Hell and everything. What for you was what in your mind is the best Sabbath album and why? And then what's maybe the most underrated or overlooked Sabbath album and why?
Okay. Well, I think the best Sabbath album for me is Master of Reality. And I like the quality of songs is amazing. It's Children of the Grave, you've got Into the Void, After Forever. But I like the detunedness. As far as I know, that is the first rock album to use dropped C sharp. The heaviness, I could never figure out what they were doing. When I was learning to play in say 75, I'd probably got Master of Reality, and I couldn't figure it out. Like, I didn't know anything about the tuning. I was still in standard tuning, and I was like, how the hell is he doing this? It's just incredible. So I couldn't play along to Sabbath. It was just too difficult. I love Sabotage as well. That's probably number 2. But I think an overlooked album for me is Technical Ecstasy. I think there's some great songs on that, which I think it's the last album. Oh no, Ozzy did Never Say Die after that, didn't he? Yeah. But yeah, I like Technical Ecstasy. I like this Backstreet Kids, isn't there, and All Moving Parts Stand Still. And I like that track Gypsy. Again, not a lot. If I mention Gypsy to anybody by Black Sabbath, I don't remember that. And yeah, I think it's a really good track, and I don't know, a fan.
It's fantastic, and oddly enough, I'll ask you the same question again about the Boys in Metallica, because I'm getting ready to do that ranking. What would you say is their best album, and what's maybe their most overlooked, but you think is still one of their incredible albums?
Okay, I'll probably say the Black Album is my favorite, because it's partly the production is incredible, and it's chock full of good songs. That I saw them quite a few times on that tour as well, the Black Album tour, 91, 92. So I'd get to hear things like Wherever I May Roam, or Through the Never. I think they did Through the Never live. I like Through the Never. And then obviously they'd play Sandman and Sabatry, and Nothing Else Matters. But I've seen them do the Black Album live as well, where they do it in reverse order, which was great. And excuse me. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Black Album. And did you say the worst Metallica album?
Well, the one that you see is the most underrated.
Okay, underrated. I don't know. Justice for All gets a bit of bad press, doesn't it? Because of the sound. There's no bass. It's a strange album to get used to. I think the songs are great, and my favourite Metallica song is One, which is on that album. But even me, you know, when I put it on, I turn the bass up or something. You know, it's people have been talking about this for 20 odd years, haven't they? And I do agree that it sounds bass light. You know, they've mixed poor old Jason down for some reason.
Poor bloke.
Yes, but maybe that one. I don't know. You know, Load's good as well. It has some good tunes.
Nice. Well, let's get back to Diamond Head then. So you guys released a self-titled album a few years ago. Then you came back last year with the Coffin Train.
Yeah.
Those albums to me really seem like, you know, and those were both with Raz in the lineup and everything. It seems like you guys went into those almost with that mindset of, let's bring back some of that vintage sound that we originally started with. Was that sort of purposeful, or just sort of a natural way it developed when you started writing the songs?
What it was really, when Raz joined the band, he went over the back catalogue, and I think he pretty much identified that some of the best Diamond Head stuff was on those first two albums and Canterbury, and I think I understood what he meant. That the people really like songs like The Prince and Helpless, Am I Evil, Sucking My Love, Light into the Nations. And so I could understand where he was coming from. The way bands are now and the way metal's progressed over the past 40 years, I think some of the songs we did in our career were a bit light. A song like Waited Too Long or Call Me or maybe Out of Phase wouldn't fit now, I don't think. If we were on a metal fest like Wacken, for example, following, you know, I don't know, say Machine Head were on, and, you know, Ultra Vomit or somebody, I think we wouldn't be up there with our acoustic guitars and our harmony backing vocals. I think what we'd be focusing on are the more powerful songs here, Am I Evils, The Helpless, we'd be trying to kill. And so I think we've kind of taken stock of the earlier days, and with any new songs, we've tried to make them sound like Diamond Head and keep the energy up, try and write faster songs rather than slow, mid-paced songs. Not always possible, but wherever possible, we've tried to keep the energy going. And Raz is all about energy. He's always looking for energy in a performance. So it's definitely going in the right direction for me.
Absolutely. Those last two albums, again, and this is what you became famous for with that first album, was it was just packed with so many amazing riffs. And heavy metal is all about the riff. And that's on the Coffin Train and the self-titled album. So I know you guys have been in lockdown. That's one of the reasons you guys decided to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Lightning to the Nations the way that you did. And thank you so much for it, because the album just, it's a kick in the fucking head. Have you been able to do any writing or put some riffs together for the album that will come next with this down?
Yes, I have. Our last gig was March the 8th. So once I realized we'll need another album, you know, at some point, I just thought the best thing I can do, the most constructive thing I can do with all this downtime, I could see months and months ahead of no gigs, you know, all our dates and tours and festivals would fall in one by one. Fortunately, I've got a home studio with a Pro Tools LE rig, and I just got stuck into that. Every day, pretty much, I'll play the guitar, try and come up with ideas, or rework older ideas that have never quite come together. And I've spent months, 6 months, 7 months putting together material for the next album. So I think I've got some great ideas already for the next one.
I was going to say, and we'll make this the last question because I know we need to get out of here. But you wrote, as most bands don't, but you guys had written about 100 songs before you went in to do Lightning for the Nations, or to the Nations. Do you ever go back and look at any of those earlier riffs and see if there's something that you can salvage or that has a new life now that?
I've already done it a couple of times over the years. I'll think that riff's really good. It needs to be, reworked. It would have been overlooked. We did write around 100 songs, and it is very unusual. I didn't think it at the time, but between 76 and 1980, when we made the record, we were writing all the time, maybe a song a week at times. And I didn't realize it at the time, but most bands, I think, would write enough for the album and then just go and do it. And we've got this choice. I think it's partly what made Lightning to the Nations so strong, is we chose 7 songs out of almost 100. So the quality was there, and then we were able to reuse some of the songs later. A couple of songs would appear on Borrowed Time and then Canterbury, and even on Death and Progress, which is 93, we used a song that we'd written in 78 called Wild in the Streets. But yeah, now I've still got cassettes from the early days, and occasionally I'll just plunder a riff or something.
Or see if it inspires you to something new, right?
Yeah. I'll just think, that's still a good riff. If it's got some energy and some speed, I will try and make it happen.
Nice. Brian Tatler of Diamond Head, the new album, the old album, Lightning to the Nations 2020. Something good had to come out of this year. Thank you so much for taking the time. It was an honor. I can't believe I've been doing this for decades myself, and this is the first time you and I have chatted. But thanks so much for taking the time. It was an honor, and we look forward to the next studio album. And meanwhile, we've got something to sink our teeth into.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to talk to you. Cool.